Oh my goodness, and we're gonna give it 100 nodes just to kind of overkill it here. This is probably gonna lag my game out. Oh my god. This brain. And there we have it, people. It's a gallop, dude. He's excited to go to his new home. And this is all because of that big old brain this human has. Hey guys, welcome back to more evolution, you people, I swear. You know, I'm not one to argue in the comments, but really though, I think there's something that needs to be addressed, and I think that is that most of us don't really, or at least didn't at a certain point, understand how this game works exactly. We have an idea, a lot of it is hearsay, oh, this person did that, so it must work and must be logically sound. But there are things that you guys should know and understand as to why I made certain choices with certain creatures that some of you are very upset about that I didn't keep around. Some of the designs were really interesting looking, but they didn't perform the way I wanted it to, so I would scrap it after a few generations. Now let me explain my reason for doing so, and today we'll put the logic and the brain to the test once we explore it. And by the way, I love all of you in the comments. Don't worry. I'm just pulling a leg here. Quite a few thousand legs, but pulling is all I'm doing. Anyway, if you guys are still enjoying Evolution, be sure to hit that like button and let me know in the comment section below. Also, I'm trying to see if there's a way that you guys can create some stuff, since this is free to play, but trying to figure out how you guys can create stuff and I can feature it here. So I'll figure that out and I'll get back to you guys. So anyway, let's take a look at the brain, which you can hit the settings to go to the brain down here. And this is the neural network settings. We looked at this before. It is kind of complicated, but really it breaks down to this. The input is any factor that could cause a muscle at the very end to either contract or expand. Now, from how I understand it, this is the most basic to get the most basic functions out of the brain and in turn the creatures you create. So let's say a condition for running is how many current joints or bones or objects are touching the ground at any given time. That goes into here, and then it gets split off into all these different possibilities, which again, from what I understand, can be a different amount of contraction or expansion, depending on how many are there. Now, I'm not sure how they communicate to each other, and I think the explanation here doesn't really go into it, but that's the basics of a machine learning AI anyway. It really is, there are multiple factors that come into play. Those factors get sent out, and for each generation or each iteration of this same creature, in this case, gets sent a bunch of inputs based on a lot of different environmental things and the things that it's currently doing. That it all gets randomly seeded and conditioned and eventually sent out to each individual muscle. So this happens for each muscle that is on your creature. So if you have 4 muscles, this will happen 4 different times. Now for each creature that you have in that specific generation, those inputs will be varied upon and tested out with each creature to see what eventually happens. What's interesting to note, and I'll load up one of my simulations here, you guys will recognize this from the last episode, but this is our walking dude. We'll show it one at a time, and this guy, after 240 generations, is going super fast. Now, this is something I didn't know you could do, but you can click on Best of Gen whatever up here in the top right corner, and you can get a list of all of its stats. Fitness is on a scale as far as the brain goes and how it's calculated from 0 to 1. In this case, it's 0.13 or 13% fitness. So as it keeps going, it will get better, hopefully. This one actually just went down. Simulation time is currently 20 seconds. I did set up the initial one to be at like 60 seconds so it can have the most amount of time. See, this guy just fell. But here we are. Okay, so there's an overall increase of 0.3% here now. Jumping height, they're actually calculating that, but again, we're just running. So all that really matters for us is the horizontal distance from the start, the average speed, and so on. The weight does play an effect, as I figured it did, and it does say the neural net, that there's 5 layers and 160 nodes. I'm not sure how that's exactly broken down. I'm assuming it's 6 environmental factors going into like, because I had the neural network for this particular simulation, 5 layers, 50 apiece, yada yada. So it was an input, 50 options, 50 options, 50 options to the output. In this case, there are 6 different environmental factors that gets spread out for each of those 50. and then 4 for each of the muscles. I think that's what that means. So there's a lot being taken in. That's a rather large brain, a rather complicated brain for what this thing really is. The larger your creature, the more muscles it has, the more it would likely, in theory, benefit from having a more complicated neural net. The more simple you get, like resetting it back to the input 10 output, would be probably best for getting this creature to do what it needs to do and improve it. Because again, we're going through 50 different options on 3 separate occasions, all of which can have a random factor considering the mutation rates, which can introduce random effects for your character. As you can see, one of them actually fell even at generation 246, where they've been running the entire time. This game, and I keep saying game, this simulation is an amazing tool. I actually really enjoy getting in depth with this now. And I promise you, I've said something wrong. I'm not claiming to be all that knowledgeable in how this particular simulation was designed and how it's supposed to work, but there is a help menu. It does tell us that. Now this will tell you all you need to know about pretty much everything, and the brain is all described here. Now back to the point I made previously about the creatures I would create that would look awesome and that I would just throw away after 4 generations. Let me explain the reason why I did that. Right here it says in the info panel, what makes a creature able to perform a specific task? There are essentially 2 parts to each creature. One is its physical structure, i.e. its body. This is something that you control since you are the one building the creature. The body stays the same for all of the creatures during the whole course of evolution. It is possible to write a variation of this algorithm that also evolves the body of the creature into an optimal shape, but that doesn't happen currently. This means that you need to make sure that your creature is physically able to accomplish the task in some form in the first place. If you, for example, don't add any or not enough muscles to your creature, then it will never be able to move, no matter how long you let it evolve. I read this prior to playing this game in the first place. I breezed over it, I'm not gonna lie. But I did understand that concept, that it needed to be able to perform the function in some manner before I can even let it try and evolve. Because the way it works is, let's say this character, we have a population of, let's reduce this down to 10. If all 10 of these immediately fell over, then that means that specific trait will then be passed down to the next generation to continue to work on. And what will happen is, the characters will look like this one in particular, and they will just kind of flap their ways, and they'll be like a fish out of water, and just they'll improve that by using the muscles and continuing to do that. They won't walk the way we want them to specifically, which again, we're making something that wasn't intended to be made. Obviously, it's a 2D game and we're building the human sideways, but I threw away a lot of the designs because it got so complicated to the point where the creatures may have stood up, but they never made an attempt to move a leg. Yeah, right here it says create a new generation of creatures. This is a step in the AI process. This is done by randomly picking 2 creatures from the set, taking their chromosomes, which uniquely identify their brains and therefore their behavior, split them at a random index, and put them back together, but this time using the 1 part from each of the 2 parent creatures. But that is the core of the game, or the simulation. And that's why we're able to take this dude into walking normally. By generation 250, he is blazing through, walking in a very strange manner. We can probably tell the difference if we go from 50 in a population at 10 seconds. We'll let this go for 10 generations, just 10. We'll take the stats of the best one, and we'll compare them to when we give it a very complicated brain. Right now it has the basic, the default brain, 3 layers with 10 nodes in the middle, and an input and output. So again, 10 generations, we'll take the information and we'll see how it goes. All right, so generation 10 on the basic brain here. This already had a 12.46 fitness score, which is almost what the one at our 250 mark had with a complicated brain. 12.58 and climbing. Now, I'm not sure at where in the complicated brain it happened, but that's why we're going to run another test here. Average speed 1.38, horizontal distance 13.7. Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to give it a very complicated brain. I don't know where to start, but I'm just going to do it because it does say it has a extremely high performance impact, and I haven't had any problems with it yet. So we're going to give it 10 layers. Oh my goodness, and we're going to give it 100 nodes just to kind of overkill it here. This is probably going to lag my game out. Oh my god. This brain. Oh man. So again, we're going to do 10. Wait, was I at 10? We'll do, I think I was at 50. Did I simulate 50 last time? Crap. That's fine. We'll do 50. We'll see how this goes for 10 generations. All right, it's only lagging, I think, because of the amount of people. I may have put too many. It's not an accurate comparison because I'm an idiot. I apologize. Nope, it's definitely frozen. I'm gonna let it play out because I imagine it's just being halted right now because it's trying to calculate everything. And I'm probably gonna back out and turn that down just a tad bit. Just a tad bit. Maybe just keep the same 10, but just 10 different layers of it. I think that might be the best option. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna take this hella back. Let's reset that. 10 layers, 10 each. That should be good. That looks good, actually. And we reduced it down. I'm pretty sure I had I'll just do 20. That's a good comparison. This guy's just standing here. That's a beautiful choice, my dude. That brain will develop. There we go. Starting to think. All right. So we got 90 nodes total. We're gonna see at generation 10 just how far these things can go. All right. So let's go back. Generation 10. Fitness is 0.09%. With this complicated of a brain, these guys will not even try to, quote, walk, as we were calling it. They're not going to be calling it that. Then what we could do is add some more muscles. That's always a good idea. Let's just muscle this dude up, right? Have this here. This one connects to that one. This one connects to all of them, right? We can even have the middle one connect to these. And maybe this complicated brain could actually do something after all. There we go. I highly doubt this is going to do anything. Well, okay, so they're leaning. They're leaning for sure. Already at a higher fitness level. This guy. Well, because he fell over, but still. So this creature, in this particular setup with this brain, will likely never do the walk that we all enjoy. Now, we can test another way of doing this. Instead of having multiple layers, we can go back to the default of 3 and just increase this to 100 for many different specific values of contraction, I believe is what that represents, into one muscle. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at this dude hopping away. See, that's why it's so important if you're playing this game, the brain matters so much. This dude, he already got 5 meters. This guy is straight hopping. Let's go. All these muscles are doing wonders for you, my dude. So seeing this, right? Seeing this, it's like almost the amount of layers kind of matter in a sense of, I don't know the correlation between like how many bones there are and how many layers need to be there, but this seems to be doing pretty well. It's not going to reach the level of the first time with the basic one and just 4 muscles. But it does seem like it's doing a pretty good job at experimenting in what's going to work. Look at the generation up top. Look at the spread of animations, the different types that they keep trying. That's awesome to see there because there's so many different levels of contraction now that can happen over that 100 spread that they can accomplish over a long period of time. Many things. In fact, I'm going to let this run to generation 100 and we'll see what it looks like. So we're at 109, I think. We're at almost 7 fitness, so it's not anywhere near the one for the basic. It seems the more basic it is, the easier of a time that it has to perform this specific task for this specific creature. So building the creature and testing it out is not the only thing that matters. We got to make sure the brain is just right for this to evolve properly, which makes me feel confident that we can build a well-constructed human and we can make that thing walk properly. So I'm going to go back to the drawing board and we're just going to put together a quick, I'm actually going to go off of this. I'm going to bring back up the Modak. There we go. And we're going to add limbs and joints and all the good crap that this game requires you to do. Okay, so this is interesting because I want to test this out. Everyone has been saying to have the legs pivot from one joint at the top, right here at the pelvic area. That's a beautiful pelvis. Have feet, so that way it can implement the option to potentially kick its own leg up and bend at this joint to work in unison to bring its leg out forward. And they both need to be facing the same way. So basically this is kind of what a human would look like standing sideways, right? You can actually do this, by the way, if you didn't know. You can overlay joints to kind of make it work. So we're gonna see what can happen with this. With the specific brain that we had last time with 100 different layers. Oh my goodness. Okay, cool. They're all twitching. That's a good sign. They're trying. One of them stood up, so that's also a good sign. Picked up his feet and is trying to bend. Awesome. So we'll let this run for a little bit and see where it takes us. Hopefully somewhere where we can have a nice walk. Oh my God, did you see that step? We're going in the right direction, people, I promise you. Okay, so we're on, I changed it to 30 seconds for the simulation to kind of give it the most possibility. But as you can see here on the generations, they immediately fall down because it's much easier in this particular setup for them to do that. And I think it's the muscle placement from the pelvis to the top of the legs. It's not working right. Since we're walking to the right, I might want to consider putting the muscles pulling from the right to bring it forward and push it back. Like, all of them fall immediately, and this is what I'm talking about. This will never go anywhere. You can get lucky, I imagine, with as many variations as we have. You can get lucky with the mutations and such. You can increase that, and the possibility is there, but overall, they are going to find efficiency and believe, the AI believes that this is how the design was set up, and it's taking advantage of that, which means that the design is not optimal for walking. So, going back out. See, there we go. He's on his knee. He's trying really hard, and he breaks his knee, basically. That's broken. That is broken, and you need some help. All right, dude, like, it's not working. You can try something else now. Come on. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what this has turned into, but I'm frightened. Where does it begin? Where does this creature begin and end? Oh, God, he breaks his back to get to that position, and then he wiggles his toes. Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Okay, this guy... He's on his knees. Maybe eventually he'll stand up. It's possible at this point, I feel like. The joints are kind of where they are, except for the back one. That's gonna be hard. But if he can get that front leg up, he can jump and then adjust himself. Okay, so we're at generation 60 on this one, and it's moving. It sure is moving. It's not as great as our first test with the simple brain and 4 muscles, but this guy is moving, and he seems to be moving in a fashion that kind of makes sense. It almost seems like what's making this not work is the leg placement, because you can see the legs positions or any of the limbs positions will always try to return to its default state, which is whatever you set it to. It's not like you can preemptively lift up a leg to kind of aid the evolution to start walking. Instead, they're going to go back to the same place. So we have to place it properly so it can work. Attach muscle here, attach muscle here. You can be pulled from over there, and you can be pulled from over there. Pretty simple. Let's see what this little guy can do. All right, some of them are standing. That is a very, very good sign. They'll start moving their legs and realize that they could probably move faster that way. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Standing is a very good sign when it comes to walking. Go figure. All right, let's take a look at the best guy. Oh boy, what a chump. Okay, I'm thinking that I might need to reduce down the time, because given a long period of time, it would likely be easier to just fall over and just kind of work on springing forward rather than trying to do a complicated maneuver of just walking. See, the simulation tries to push the creature to get the farthest in the allotted time, so it will take steps to get to that point. If we lower it down to maybe 10, then maybe there'll be a difference. And let's increase the population so each generation gets a little bit more. Nobody's trying to walk yet. This guy's standing. This guy's flopping around. He's getting pretty far for the first freaking generation. Jeez. 2.2 fitness, dude. You're so in shape. Yeah, and again, it seems to be going down the road. I wonder if it's the muscle placement. All right, let's try to change the brain up a little bit. Let's see if reducing it down to its basic will help. In fact, let's leave it at that. Let's try it out. We'll do 50 at 10 seconds to see how far it goes. Let's make it 15. And population, just to stop with the lag, let's do 20. All right, yeah. It doesn't seem to be making too much of a difference. The fitness is just about the same pretty much because it's doing the same action. It might just be the design. Maybe the muscles need to not be attached to the top here, but to the bottom like they were in the other one, like right here. But let's just start out with a little bit more complicated. Let's add another layer and see if that makes a difference. And they all fall. All right, so we got this dude that is a modified version of the Maddock that we had before, the 2 stick-legged ones. And now it's hopping, right? Is that what it's supposed to do? It didn't actually do this until the last few generations. Now it's a frog. It's basically a frog. It's not really a human. I could potentially add a head and some arms to this and hope that maybe we'd be able to give it, human-like qualities, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to do that. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to save this. Then I'm going to go back and see. Yeah, we're doing running. For some reason, it prefers jumping. Let's add some stuff to see if we can make it look a little human. All right, that kind of looks human, but I can't be too sure. We'll put 40 of these guys and see if we can get something out of this. We'll do 20 per generation and see if we can get something out of it. Yeah, now they're going to want to... See, this is the problem. When you add limbs that have muscles, they're going to want to go on their side and start crawling. So we'll let this play out for a bit. Maybe it'll fix itself. Since we still have people standing and kicking their feet and jumping, this looks kind of good as far as a possibility that it will start moving like we want. Oh my god. And there we have it, people. Okay, it definitely isn't how a human walks. A human can move this way, though. That's a plus. We have a head, we have arms extending out, and we have the legs doing all the work here. And this is only on generation 16. Just hopping away like a frog. This is actually really awesome. So as far as I'm aware, from what I've seen basically on YouTube and other people playing the game, I haven't seen anyone put together a human or humanoid that has a kneecap and feet with the joints all included. The proper joints, I guess, and have it travel. This guy's definitely hopping, he's not walking, but it's a gallop, dude. He's excited to go to his new home. All right, let's let this run for a little bit longer. I want to see how good this guy gets. Okay, so as you can see, the average speed for this is about 1.36 meters per second, which is just 0.02 shy of the original Madoc just stick figure walking. The only problem I have, as you can see, is that he's using his elbows to kind of propel himself upward. But regardless, we have a humanoid figure that is traveling by his feet mainly. A human could do this. Maybe not with the elbows, but certainly this is acceptable, right? That we did it. We finally did it. And this is all because of that big old brain this human has. So we're going to go ahead and call that a win, and I'm going to cut this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit the like button. Let me know in the comment section below if you would like to see some more. And subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell icon to never miss a video. I love you all, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!